Today's objective is to give you 3 fundamental editing techniques that will immediately help you gain attention on Instagram. They're extremely easy and I think they're gonna skyrocket your engagement or engagement for your clients. So without dragging it out any longer, we're gonna get straight into Adobe After Effects. Alright, so we're in the software, I got a talking head over here. If you're interested in comp settings, here you have it. And as for the first method, we're gonna create big text. So basically having big captions over here is gonna force the viewer to read what's on the screen. I'm gonna grab the type tool, I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna type in 3, let me just change the color to white, and I'm gonna create another text. I'm gonna hit Ctrl D, and then I'm gonna type in editing. I'm gonna do it one more time, then I'm gonna type in mistakes. I'm gonna probably put it somewhere here, then mistakes somewhere here, and 3 will be at this position. So basically what we need to do here is scale up the text, but not only, we also need to place it nicely. So as for the number 3, I'm gonna hit S, and I'm gonna bump up the scale. I'm gonna go to mistakes, also hit S and bump up the scale. You kind of have to keep it in mind that on Instagram they are cutting out the borders, so just make sure that it's not entirely close to the edge. Alright, something like that I think will be perfect. Maybe a little bit of scale for editing. As for the mistakes, I think we should change the color. Red would be a perfect fit here. And then something we need to add to the editing is the effect called drop shadow. I'm gonna bump up the opacity so it's more visible, change the distance to 0 so it's spreading all over the place, and then softness to around 150. And that way, as you can notice here, we got that nice separation before and after. We could probably copy that effect and paste it into mistakes, and then we're gonna have a little bit of separation over here. And that way it's already looking very appealing. But now what I'm gonna do is actually create a keyframe for opacity. So I'm gonna hit T, hit the stopwatch, go back, change it to 0, and now I'm gonna offset some of these layers like that. Okay, should be perfect. So now the next thing to make it even more readable is adding a little bit of exposure, actually exposure drop. So I'm gonna add the effect to our reel. I'm gonna click the stopwatch for exposure, hit U, move forward, and just drop it down a little bit. And that way it's way more readable. You can kind of focus on what's in here. And then another effect I would add, just to emphasize the text even more, is Gaussian blur. So I'm gonna do pretty much the same. I'm gonna hit the stopwatch, hit U, go to the second keyframe, and bump it up a little bit. And that's even better now, before and after. We're gonna probably recompose it and call it text, hit enter, and I'm gonna just delete it. Maybe we'll use it later on. I'm gonna turn off the effects and let's focus on the second method. So in number 2, we basically need to create tracking for the face. So make sure you're on the first frame, then head over to tracker. If you don't see it, go to window and click here. I'm gonna click stabilize motion and double box will appear. Now I'm gonna drag that box above, and we need to find a place where it will be perfect to attach our double box. So for this, it's really good whenever you got pimples, you can just attach it here. But let's say I didn't have any, which would be awesome, but that's not the case. So for this, I think maybe a good point would be attaching it to my ear. Or maybe I'm just thinking the hair would be better. Or actually, I'm gonna grab that pimple over here. So just find something that is visible on the face. It might be a mole, it might be a piece of hair, it can be an eyebrow, but eyebrow is moving a lot, so it will be hard. But now once you got your double box attached, you can head over to our tracker panel and click analyze forward. Okay, it's losing it a little bit. So something we could do here is go back. So I hit Ctrl Z, and now we can actually go to options. And if you head over here, you got something like stop tracking. And here you can set the percentage of the confidence. So it basically means if the software supposes that it's lost the tracking, it's just gonna automatically stop. So you can readjust it. 80% is the sweet spot, so I'm gonna hit OK. I'm gonna adjust it one more time, and I'm gonna play it back. Okay, it's lost a little bit. I should have set it to like 90, maybe 95. It wasn't that bad. I think it's gonna work fine. So now, since we got it, we need to hit apply. Then the box will appear, just hit OK. And as you can notice, the camera is following my head movement. So now let's say we're starting the video, we want to grab the viewer's attention. So what we could do is hit S on the keyboard, then hold Shift, click P, and create keyframes for both. Then I'm gonna move forward, I'm gonna zoom it in, and I'm gonna adjust position to maybe something like that. I think I went a little bit overboard. Let's see now. Okay, I would probably just go more towards the middle. Pretty cool, but the thing is that we need to make it extremely sharp. So for this, I'm gonna right click, go to keyframe assistant, easy ease, go to the graph editor, and we're just gonna create a peak in the middle. So make sure you're selecting both keyframes and then drag the yellow dot to the middle on both sides. Okay, that's extremely sharp. I'll probably go back somewhere here and then squeeze it in. Pretty cool. Now since we got the camera tracking, we could actually head over to the project. I'm gonna grab our text composition onto the timeline and I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna kind of attach it next to my beard that is not existent. It's already pretty attention grabbing. And now the magical component is adding motion blur, and we got that cool effect, and it basically looks like the text is attached to my head. You could also parent the text to our reel, and that way it will stay in place. So it's also a pretty cool method. So let's try to adjust the position of this, maybe scale it up. It's also a pretty eye-catching thing. You could also use a little bit of position, for example here. So we could slide it in from the left, then use some graphs. And that's even better now. Very perfect. And as for the last method is using light leaks. And if you didn't know, I'm running the editing shift, a store with video editing assets. So this is basically a project pack that has plenty of light leaks, film burns, animated backgrounds, etc. But you don't really need to use my pack. You can probably find something online. It's just a place where everything is very condensed. So I'm just gonna grab light leak long, and then I'm gonna head over to modes, change the mode to screen. And I'm just gonna probably put it like that. So this is basically giving you that extra touch to the video. So these are basically 3 methods that I've seen a ton of times. Big creators are using them, I also use them in my reels. So yeah, just feel free to experiment with what I've given you, and hopefully you will come up with some unique looks. That'll be it for this video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers guys.